Welcome to class, everyone. It is our last Sunday of the month, so that means it's time for some restorative yoga. We are going to use 3 props today, and they're pretty much going to stay in the same place the whole time. So you need 2 blankets or 2 towels, whatever it is that you have around the house. And let me show you how they're folded. They're all folded a little bit differently. So this top one, fold it into a small rectangular, maybe not tiny, but kind of like the size of a pillow, maybe a little bit smaller. You can always even use a pillow if you don't want to use a blanket. This next one is going to be a long rectangle. So if you have a towel, maybe take it up and fold it the long way. And then this one's going to kind of spread across the upper part of your mat. And then I've got a yoga bolster here, but you are more than welcome to use some pillows or even some rolled up blankets, just so you have some support underneath the knees and the calves. So again, we're going to be laying down the entire time. Feel free to move and shift as your body needs. I'm going to be doing a few readings from some of my favorite books as we go along, and we'll always be watching our breath and just working on self-awareness. So a lot of times when it comes to restorative yoga, it can be challenging at first because we're not moving. Our mind likes to take that opportunity to think about all different kinds of things. So I'll continue to remind you to come back to your breath, to listen to my voice if I'm doing a reading. But before we get started, sometimes it's helpful to create an anchor point of your own. An anchor point can just be something that you can come back to throughout your practice today if you notice the mind starting to wander off. And that anchor can be your breath, so maybe just the feeling of the breath moving in and out of the nose, or maybe you feel the chest expand or the belly expand as you breathe. So the breath is a great anchor point. You can even choose a part of your body, like checking in on the big toe, for instance. If you notice your mind's kind of thinking about your to-do list or something that happened yesterday or years ago or what you've got coming up, you can bring your awareness back to your physical body. Maybe it's your big toe, maybe it's your palm, maybe it's your heart, maybe it's something entirely different, but just something that resonates with you. And I'll give you one more option that you could choose for your anchor, and that's called a mantra, which is really just a word or a phrase, something that you can remember easily and repeat to yourself, again, when you kind of notice your mind wandering. So maybe today's word is rest. So if you watch if you check in with your brain and your brain's off somewhere else, just come back to that word rest, rest, rest. Whatever it is for you, take a moment here to think of an anchor point that would work for today, and then join me down on the mat. So we're going to lay down. Head's going to be on this top blanket like a pillow, and this longer, thinner blanket is going to kind of be right along the mid-back. So right along this area. You want your shoulder blades to be in this little nook right here. So shoulder blades and arms will be here. And then legs can drape over this bolster. Each posture we're going to be in for 3 to 5 minutes. But as I said before, anytime you feel the need to shift or move, always know that you can do that because this is your practice and it's all about you. So let's get started. As you get down onto the mat, you're going to bring your legs over your bolster or your pillow here, and then gently find your way down. So again, as you lay down, you want this thinner, shorter blanket to come underneath the arm. So your arm is going to rest above that folded blanket or towel. And then you take that top blanket or pillow, whatever you have, and bring it underneath the head. So as always, you can shift and move these blankets however you need to. If you want to move it down a little bit, or you want to bring your bolster in or your pillow in a little bit closer, please feel free to do anything that feels good. And if it's cold in your area or cold in your home, you can even take a blanket and cover yourself up, which can feel really nice and relaxing. So as you settle in here, shifting things however you need to, we're going to get started. And let's just start with an exhale through the mouth. Great. And maybe another one. Good. That just kind of sends a signal to our body that now it's time to relax and rest. And we'll do what we call a settling in breath. And all that is a slow inhale through the nose if you choose, and then a slow exhale out through the mouth. Good. And we'll repeat that several times. Gentle, slow inhale through the nose, and gentle, slow exhale through the mouth. Good. And you can continue that breath in and out through the nose. If for any reason it feels better to breathe through the mouth, feel free to do that too. As always, this is your practice. Kind of feeling the body start to relax here. So maybe noticing the muscles in the face relax. Down through the jaw and the chin, around the ears, the neck, shoulders. Allow that release to move down through the arms, to the palms and the fingers. Just feeling yourself slowly settling in. Take your awareness to the muscles along the back, from the space right at the base of the skull all the way down along the spine. All the way down around the belly, wrapping around the chest, releasing tension, softening as you can. And take this opportunity to connect to your anchor point, your breath, a space in the body. Maybe it's that repetitive phrase, that mantra. Maybe you even have some gentle music playing in the background. Now bringing your awareness back again to the body, taking that relaxation from the upper body and moving downward. So softening around hips, glutes and legs, the upper legs, front and back of the thighs, inner and outer thighs. And softening around the knees, moving down to the lower legs, to the ankles, the feet, and the toes. Feeling that softening through the whole body. From the top of the head to the soles of the feet. From fingertips to fingertips. From the front of the body to the back of the body. Nice and relaxed. We'll begin to move in just a couple breaths. And as we transition from one restorative shape to the next, move as slowly as you can. We want to stay in this nice, relaxed space. There's no rush, there's no time limit. Just meet us wherever you are, whenever you can. We'll slowly begin to roll to the side, and you can choose which side to roll to. And again, these props aren't really going to move very much. As you roll over to one side, you'll keep that bottom arm right where it was. So now your head is still supported by the pillow or blanket. The longer blanket is still underneath kind of chest, mid-torso space. And with that bolster, you can take one leg and drape it over, or if it feels better for you, you can kind of take that bolster between the legs for some extra support. So now we're just doing a gentle side lying position. This is really helpful to start to open up through the side of the body. And I'll also show you an option you can add in for some extra shoulder or upper body stretch and opening. So with this top arm, you can gently rest it on the side. You can kind of hug it to the chest. If you want some extra opening and this feels relaxing for the shoulder, you can take that top arm and take it up and overhead. So the hands can maybe rest on the floor. If not quite, you can always stack some other blanket or support underneath that hand. And again, it just kind of helps open up through the side of the rib cage, around the arm, around the underarm, around the shoulder. So take the next few breaths to really find your shape that feels good here. And once you feel settled, maybe those eyes close. And we'll take those settling in breaths. Take one full inhale through the nose. And then exhale out through the nose. Let's take 4 more just like that. In through the nose. And out through the nose. Finding your rhythm. 2 more breaths, your own pace. Good. Connecting to your anchor point again, just reminding your body and your mind that you're here in the same place. And just listen to the sound of my voice. Stay in the present moment. That's where you find life's magic. How overwhelmed we feel when we anticipate the future, all that needs doing, all the tasks, the work, the potential problems, the responsibilities. How tired we become when we dwell on what we've done already, the energy we've expended, and the imperfect results. Yes, sometimes to stay in the present, we need to visit the past, to clear out an old feeling, to heal an old limiting belief. But that visit can be brief. And sometimes we need to think about the future, to make commitments, to plan, to envision where we want to go. But to linger there can cause unrest. It can spoil the moment we're in. Stay in the present moment, and the past and the future will fall naturally and easily into place. Stay in the present moment, and the magic will return. Staying here for a few more rounds of breath. Feeling that gentle wave in and out. If you notice the mind wandering, coming back again to your own anchor point. Wonderful. We'll begin to move in the next couple breaths. Remembering moving slow as you transition. And when you feel ready, all you're going to do is begin to roll onto the back and over to the other side. So we're just creating the same shape, just laying on the other side. Take your time, move nice and slow. If it feels good, you can even keep the eyes closed the whole time. As you roll onto that opposite side, take notice what you'd like to do with your top arm. Maybe it rests on the side of the waist. Maybe it hugs next to the chest. Maybe you take that arm up and overhead. Always remember you can take this bottom bolster and bring it in between the knees for some extra support for the low back and legs. Take the next few breaths here to settle in and make sure the body is nice and comfortable. Finding your settling in breaths. Long, slow inhale. Long, slow exhale. And listening into the sound of my voice. Sometimes we need a little pressure to get moving, but sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves. I must do this, we think, and I must do it better and faster. We begin to believe that only by worry and fear and pressuring ourselves can we get the job done. Whether the job is spiritual growth, making a particular decision, or accomplishing a task. That kind of pressure doesn't get the job done any better or faster. It simply makes you tense and fearful and stops the creative juices. Too much pressure can take you out of the present moment. It can inhibit the life force, the flow of life within you. That kind of pressure can make so much noise in your head that you can't hear your heart. We have responsibilities, we have time frames and commitments to others, and there are times when we need to get the job done. But the most pressing job can be done best when we're relaxed. The most urgent decision can be made most clearly when we're at peace. It doesn't help to force ourselves to go faster, be somewhere else, or be someone we're not. There are few things we need to do that can be enhanced by becoming tense, fearful, and worried. The more pressing the situation, the more pressing the need to be present for ourselves and be present for each moment. Let off some steam. Release your emotions. Clear the pathway to the heart. The answer will come. The job will get done. Give yourself some relief and take the pressure off. And as we release that pressure, let's take a nice big exhale. Breathe in through the nose. And gently just sigh out through the mouth. Feeling that pressure valve release, the body softening even more. Staying here for a few more moments. We'll begin to move in the next few moments. So here we're in our side lying position. Before we roll back onto the back, I want you to take that top arm, that top hand, and press into the floor just enough so you can lift up and slide that second blanket out from underneath you. So we're going to keep the one up on the top underneath the head, and then we're just going to come right back on down and roll back onto the back. So now the back is flat onto the mat. We've got this top blanket underneath the head, and you can adjust your bolster or your blanket or whatever you're using underneath the legs to come back again. Maybe letting the backs of the knees or the backs of the calves rest onto the bolster. It might even feel better to kind of slide the blanket or bolster down a little bit. So it's more like calves and ankles on the bolster. Kind of depends on how your back feels today and what feels most beneficial for you. Again, if you choose and you've got that towel or blanket nearby that we just took out from underneath us, and you'd like a little blanket to either keep you gently warm or maybe even just the slight weight of that blanket can feel really nice. So just allow yourself to cover up if you choose. Take your time. Again, no rush. Sometimes it even feels good to cocoon yourself a little bit, kind of tuck those sides of the blankets underneath you. You can choose to bring your arms under the blanket, maybe even the hands rest by the sides or gently on the belly. And once you feel really, really comfortable, taking 2 ha breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. We'll move into those settling in breaths, big breath in through the nose, long and slow. And that same long and slow breath out through the nose. Take about 5 more of those. Long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. Good. And then just let go of any control of the breath. So just let that breath flow at its natural pace. Let the body soften. And bring the mind to connect to your own anchor point. To the movement of the breath, to a space in the body, or to that mantra that you created in the very beginning of class today. Connect in here for the next few moments. And just listening to the sound of my voice. Learn to appreciate yourself and others. Knowing we desire growth and improvement is one thing. Constantly driving ourselves and others is another. Maybe the answer isn't that what we need to do better, or try harder, or push more. Maybe the answer is recognizing and appreciating how well we already do things, how hard we try, how much we have done, how well others are doing too. Pushing ourselves can become so habitual that we deny ourselves any feeling of satisfaction. No matter how well or how much we do, the urge to try harder, do better, do more keeps pushing us on. It doesn't let us rest. We still feel it isn't quite good enough. If you've been pushing yourself that hard, you may need more than a little break. Take a real break. Give yourself permission to put that drive aside. Quiet that part of you that wants to do more, be more, accomplish more. Learn to value how well you do things, even if no one else sees or appreciates your efforts. Applaud your own efforts and the efforts of those you love. For today and for 1 week, instead of demanding more from yourself, tell yourself how well you've done. For today and for 1 week, instead of demanding more from those around you, tell them that they are doing well too. tell yourself how well you do, you may discover you're doing better than you thought. So before we move into a little bit of quiet, I want you to think of one thing that you can appreciate about yourself today. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. Thank you for joining me today.